Let's do a brief demonstration on how to sign up and use the Gastric Cancer Registry. First, you can access the registry through the Gastric Cancer Foundation website here, or through Stanford's online portal, which is gastricregistry.stanford.edu. So we're going to register through the Gastric Cancer Foundation. So we're on their website and we're going to go to register. And this brings up the introductory page. It says, welcome to the Gastric Cancer Registry, and it explains what type of information we'll be collecting. So we're going to be collecting medical history information, lifestyle and family history, and eventually we're also going to ask you for blood and tissue samples, but that's not online. Somebody will be contacting you later to do that. So you need to either check one of the following items. You either currently have or have had gastric cancer and are registering yourself in the registry, or you're registering a deceased family member who had gastric cancer. If neither of those things are true, then you will not be able to proceed with the questionnaire. So you have to click one of those. For the purposes of the demonstration, I'm going to say that I have gastric cancer. And then we ask you to provide your mailing address. And the reason for the mailing address is because we'd like to contact you to get samples of your tissue that was removed during your gastric cancer surgery. And we'd also like to get some copies of your medical records. And so we usually send those forms via the mail. So we would like to have your address. And then we'll need your email address if you have one. And if you'd like us to contact you, then you can put your email address in here. And then your phone number. We would also like to know what's the best way to contact you, whether it's your mailing address, email address, or phone number, so you can choose one of those three. And then we ask you how you found out about the Gastric Cancer Registry, rather through the Gastric Cancer Foundation website, or through your physician, or through your hospital, or through a support group. And if it was through your doctor or through a hospital, we'd like to know the name of your doctor. So at this point, you can either save and go return later, or you can continue on to next page, which will bring you to the consent form. So here's the consent form, and you need to read through it thoroughly though, and make sure that you understand everything on the consent form and that you agree to participate, because when you go to next page, it's going to bring you to the actual survey. So clicking next page means that you've consented to be in the Gastric Cancer Registry. The first page is demographics. We're going to ask you your name, your middle initial, your date of birth, age, sex, just some very basic information. And then also start some of the medical information, your height, your weight, whether you've had surgery to remove part of your stomach for your treatment. So at this point, you can either continue on to the next page, but there's some fields that you have to fill in. So your last name, your first name, date of birth. If you're filling this out for a relative, we want your relative's information, not your information. So the Gastric Cancer Registry is supposed to be about your relative that had the gastric cancer, not your own information. We have your contact information on the front page. Also at the top here, we have our research assistant's name and phone number and email address. So if you have any questions at this point and you don't quite know what to do, you can always contact the research assistant to get some help. Also, if you're registering for a family member, as you go through the questionnaire, if you don't know all the information, that's okay. You just put the information that you know to be true. So when we go to the next page, it's going to be the social history, and again, just some basic information. And again, if you're filling this out for a family member, you want to put in their information. So if you're filling it out for your father, and your father graduated from high school, then you put in high school as his highest level of education. If your father was married at the time that he died, then you would put in that he was married. We don't want your information, we want your relative's information. So if you get to this point and you don't want to continue any longer, you can just go to save and return later. If you want to return to the questionnaire at any time, you need the validation code to return to your questionnaire. So you have to write down the validation code. And it's good to maybe put it on a sticky note or a small piece of paper and put it up on your computer or in some other safe place so that you know what the code is. So when you want to go back and complete the questionnaire, you can do that. If you're completing the survey on behalf of a deceased relative, we understand you may not be able to answer all the questions. So that's okay. We appreciate your time, and every bit of information you collect helps us with our understanding and our research. Thanks so much for considering signing up for the Gastric Cancer Registry. Through your participation, we hope to learn more about the causes, diagnosis, treatment, and possible prevention of gastric cancer.